Welcome back to the channel. I'm your host for today, Claire Headley, and I'm joined today once again by my dear friend, Gary Jackson Morehead. Thank you so much for joining me today, Jackson. I'm very
Sure.
much looking forward to our conversation.
All right. Yeah, well, me too.
Yes, there you go. So we figured we would just have a conversation. Some of this is going to be in very general terms, but just on some recent efforts that you and I have mutually collaborated on fairly extensively, over the
Mhm.
last year, going on 2 years?
Yeah, on a very routine basis, yes. But it's
Yeah.
from my input, it started 8 years ago, going on 9 years ago, but it took that long for it to come to where it's at today, which is
Yes.
quite incredible.
It really is. And of course, we're talking in very general terms about our efforts to connect with authorities and educate them on the dangerous and abusive practices of Scientology and establish lines by which we can, or um, people who understand what's going on and who can therefore, from their positions in multiple agencies that relate to um, having awareness of the practices of Scientology, we can help educate them to get things in place so that we are better able to assist people getting out. I think that's a fair, very general summation. Would you agree?
I would agree. I feel motivated to kind of highlight the simplicity of what's at play here, as this is being transmitted through the internet world. We all know that OSA comes here, the Office of Special Affairs comes here to listen to anything and everything we have to say. Not in the sense of what those outside of OSA or in today's society come here to listen for, whether it's to learn more about Scientology, to learn about the dirty unhandedness of Scientology and the Sea Organization, or to simply hear the stories you and I relate from our experience of what it was like working there. So um, I kind of highlight this because it breaks my heart to not be able to tell people the actual details,
Yep.
because for the details to be out there would afford people to truly understand that there is true effort and a lot of hard work um, went into to establish what we've arrived at to today. Yet today is only 1/10 of our ultimate goal, but
That's right.
I can proudly say there is 1/10 of something established that has been hard worked on. So, and it's not just limited to myself of having done this. You know, Claire's had a tremendous amount of input. A lot of other people have had a tremendous amount of input. And it took that collaboration for us to arrive at where we're at today. So
Right. And even
it's,
though it sometimes feels frustratingly slow,
yeah,
nonetheless, the forward progress that has been made is nothing short of miraculous to us from our experience, not only in the many years we spent within Scientology, but also now the many years we've spent as whistleblowers and advocates for the victims of Scientology.
yeah. I guess people, if you understand the backbone of our stories and why these platforms have been created in this community of speaking about Scientology, um, 5 years ago, the media, corporate media outlets, they wanted the sensationalized storytelling of people's involvement in Scientology, like the Xenu, the Tom Cruise stuff. Did you meet Tom Cruise? You know, it took a long time for the transition to happen. And then also, I want to highlight that such agencies and networks, television, radio networks, media outlets were afraid of the
Litigious, the
litigious
litigious nature.
the
And
litigious nature of Scientology.
yeah,
And Claire and I and us that were there have always known that there's nothing they can do with it, but a corporate world and a corporate network is going to take it on face value if they receive a cease and desist letter or a threat that if you televise this, we will sue you into oblivion.
yep,
They, of course, would back out, and that would shut the outside world off from hearing about the truth, the sunshine we have to bring, right? The truth.
yep.
So if you understand that that is now been overcome, and pretty much 9 out of 10 any media outlets don't buy into church's threats, legal threats, because the church has proven it's just empty statements. They will never
Right.
back it up because it would just bring them into court.
That's right.
Because all we have to tell is the truth, and they don't want that. So, having said that, if you've come to understanding that that has been arrived at through a lot of hard work of a lot of truth-telling individuals, their integrity getting through, going, busting through their own, you know, how hard it is for them to tell their story, and the mental stress that is, is part of telling their stories. Now that we've overcome that, and Scientology is considered a social joke, compare that to the actions that we all wonder on what we can do to truly afford those still in, as truly afford them true tools that they have, making these tools truly available to them.
Yeah.
Does that make sense, Claire?
Yeah, of course.
And we are now arriving to that in a similar way that the media is now, the social life in world thinks and understands Scientology to be a joke. So yeah, I'm just, doing all I can.
A dangerous joke, but a joke
Yeah.
nonetheless, for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah. And but I'm just really trying to help our listening and viewing public here, people here, to understand that we want to tell you the details, but we can't. And we're not telling you just because, look at me, I've got the goods, and I, you know, pay
No.
me $10,000 to tell you, and I'll tell you.
If
No.
anybody else wants to make similar efforts, please have
Yeah.
at it.
Yeah.
It's
Oh yeah.
it's been exhausting, but work very, very worthwhile.
And that's kind
Yeah.
of like why what you motivated you and I to come here, to help people understand that, because there's a lot of questions out there. Why don't certain agencies act? Why
Right.
does law enforcement not respond to these statements? Well, if anybody's watched anything, any litigation on TV, from Judge Judy to high profile legal cases where they allow cameras into the courtroom, you got to know that there's hard effort put into preserving facts.
Yeah.
And if facts get made out there to be publicly, it neutralizes the judicial impact and power.
That's right.
Because the Scientology would just bring it to the table that we're out here making a joke of it, and therefore it would be deemed unreliable fact.
Right.
So there's a lot of integrity that has to be maintained in the pursuit of this effort.
For sure.
Probably said
Absolutely.
way much more than needed, but I just feel
No,
motivated
no,
to
it's okay.
clearly,
Yeah. And
yeah,
and also I'm there's obviously layer upon layer upon
yeah,
layer of this, but it is important to know that more and more, because of, for example, the HBO documentary Going Clear, because of Leah Remini, Scientology in the Aftermath, and many other publications and media, there is so much more education available now to law enforcement of what goes on. All of those things I just referenced have been incredibly helpful to our efforts in
right,
terms of education and understanding, that then leads to effective and consistent action, and to the point where, between you, me, and others, we are collaborating on a very routine basis with any information that we're authorized to share. And we've come very, very far from where we were 10 years ago.
yeah. The thing that's given this strength, this where we've arrived at in the law enforcement world, um, is really been arrived at through integrity and sticking to the truth, not sensationalizing any story or any piece of information you may have. Because we have witnessed these agencies that we've been in touch with, them going to the same community and platforms and looking at the story, and they can see the difference between those who tell the truth and those who elaborate or add color to the truth. And then when they start seeing that, they lose interest
Yeah.
in that information, and only draw interest to where they see the truth standing strong. and the truth self collaborates.
Yep.
Claire and I, you may have heard her reference that we collaborate. We don't collaborate on, hey, Claire, I'm going to call blah, blah, and I'm going to tell him this. You make sure you tell him the same thing. Never once have we ever done that. And
Yep.
that's the beauty. That's what, Claire and I, as an example, we humor ourselves like, oh my God, we know so much about it that we can complete the sentence or the paragraph of the truth that's being delivered completely independently, and it arrives in the lap of where that paragraph is intended to be, which is to the right people who can do things about it. So
Yep.
um I strongly state that because it is so vitally important that as time goes on, the subject and context can seemingly be boring, come across as boring. But like for myself, I come to this platform because I have other realizations of stuff that I've come to realize. Oh yeah, this happened, and I want people to understand. I relate my story so people get a better, more in-depth understanding of what it was like to walk around and be a billionaire contract signer, staff member in the day-to-day stuff. And it helps people who are looking to get out of Scientology better understand their own situation. So
Yeah,
um
and I would say that equally important is your navigation of exposing Scientology
yeah,
and, your experience with their fair game. And I mean, you were deposed in our lawsuit
yeah,
by their, $1 million law firms. So I think it just adds an important perspective
yeah,
when you've walked that path. It's not for everybody. And I
yeah,
and I will never judge somebody for choosing to speak out or not speak out. It's not necessarily an easy path. As every one of us is a survivor of extreme trauma,
yeah.
and just trying to get our lives back on track. That said, there is very important work to be done for the sake of those still in, and the abuse is still occurring to this day. And for me personally, that's what motivates me to keep doing this.
Yeah, exactly. And you going back in time when your lawsuit was going and I was subpoenaed to attend. Um, the attorney that was afforded for me, I have no idea where she came from, who paid for her, but she was there to represent me in because I knew I was going to be brought as a character witness to your side of the table during that lawsuit, but the church acted quick to get me subpoenaed to neutralize my character,
Right.
to get it on paper that I was just a speaking foolish idiot, which completely backfired on at the time. And that going into that, I told before we even had the meeting, I had a meeting with the this lady attorney. I forget her name, but she had no knowledge about Scientology or nothing. And I told her, I said, listen, when we go into this room, when we have this meeting, this is what's going to happen. And you're going to see what's the number of people in the background with their boxes of information and people secretly on the phone. And there's going to be one lead attorney and yada, yada, yada. And she was like, yeah, okay. And then after it happened, she was like, you were dead on. It's exactly what happened. What you said happened was going to happen. I said, yeah, that's how predictable these people are.
Yep.
And then also I've told you about my addressing the church council because I knew him when I was on staff. Bert, remember where he was going, so Mr. Morehead, was it not true that you were just blah, 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 blah? And I said, well, Bert.
Yeah, and of course, you're talking about Bert Dykesler,
Yeah,
who is one of their top attorneys
at the time. Yeah, I don't know if he's
at the
still on their
time.
payroll.
Probably is. I've had some very interesting conversations with some very high-powered attorneys who research his background, and they're like, "Oh boy, that guy's a character.
Yeah, and boy, he
Bulldog." Yeah.
very bulldog, but very professional demeanor with his bouffant black hair all slicked back and his suits. I mean, the guy was really elegantly dressed, I must say. But I had just realized that I'm not going to take this beating down at the time. So,
No.
you know, and I'm kind of using this story just to help people understand what we go through and the level of which we believe we understand how to deal with the church.
Yeah.
And that was, I could have bent the knee and go, okay, Mr. Drexler, I understand what you're saying, but I just kept up going, calling him Bert. because I did reference him by his name. I just highlighted with Bert, and that got under his skin, and
Yep.
it just, it was nice kind of delivering a little bit of stink back at them, and they had nothing on me, and their efforts were unsuccessful. But anyways,
Yeah.
I digress.
It's all right. We always do, but
Yeah,
the point remains the same
yeah,
that we are here for the long haul until we can get the many
yeah,
people still stuck in this abusive cult the heck out, or at least give them the option to leave should they decide to do so.
yes, that's right. Um, I'm having realizations and ideas since this was not scripted or where we're going to run with this. So excuse
Yeah.
me if I'm stepping on your interest in saying something.
No, go right ahead,
Um,
please.
this over the last few months, 4, 5, 6 months, um, there's been a challenge presented to the effort of helping people, and it's really made it significantly harder to help the people seeking help. And that's been a very unfortunate derailment, an attempt to derail the effort, I should say. And it's been an unnecessary conversation as part of the effort to help people.
Hmm.
Completely unnecessary. And I say that because regardless of the raw apples or eggs being thrown at this effort, people still believe and are still driven to seek resolution for themselves, out of the muck. And
Yep.
that's what we're here for. That's what we're here for, either just to simply, I'm no clinical analysis. I'm nothing except for me being me, having my life experience. And my life experience, people seem to have interest to reach out to better understand their life experience and to arrive at a better place. So that's all I have to offer is just me being me and genuinely helping them. So um there, I mean, even as of yesterday, Claire, you're aware of it. There's daily activities where people call just to have a conversation, just to talk and help better understand something, or just say hello, because even that is helpful in this community. So
For sure. I had a 2-hour conversation just this morning.
yeah, well, see, I never knew that. I probably, if I tried calling you, go, why the hell isn't Claire calling me?
Why do you think I was running a little late on this?
Yeah, well, there you go. I did not know that. I was figuring you're tending to one of the, what, 5 men that you have in your house.
4, yes.
Yeah, 4. Yeah, 4 men.
Yeah, it's
Um,
all good.
but yeah, it's real. There's daily work occurring on truly helping people, and it's not bullshit. There is nothing short of true help being afforded,
Yeah.
and always keeping that door open. And I just think it's important to update people with that truth, to
Yeah.
not think that it's fallen away,
No. No, and
because it hasn't.
I'm so grateful for the work that you do on a daily
Oh, jeez.
basis, truly. No, I am. I am. I'm not just saying that,
Okay.
it's important. I think it's important in this day and age to really focus on just helping people for no other reason
Yeah.
than,
Yeah.
hey, education is important. Education on the practices of Scientology is important. I know you have met some incredible people, as have I,
Yeah.
who are never ends that are just, here for out of care and concern for
Yeah.
what is able to be gotten away with by Scientology in today's society. And that's a shock. But also there's so many other people, either those still in, those under the radar, who don't want to lose their families, which I completely understand. I was in that category for a long time too. In my case, the day I escaped, OSA made the choice for me and declared me a suppressive person. So they made the hard decisions. And here I am speaking
Right.
out as a result.
Yeah. That whole idea of being labeled a suppressive person is just, it took a while for me to shed the stigma of that statement, the idea of
Completely.
being falling into a category. It's just a comedic statement at this point.
Yep.
And it truly means absolutely zero. It is just the last ditch effort of a statement in which the church recognized people they generate a response out of people to keep them in line.
Yeah.
When if they just look a little further, suppressive person, go right ahead, entertain yourself. I could give two F's about
Yeah.
being
If
declared.
if being a suppressive person means I help people to take back their lives and get out of Scientology,
Yeah.
I'm all for it.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, so much could be said. There's so little time to say it in a productive statement without sounding long-winded. But yeah, Claire, I mean, it's there's people all over the U.S. The beautiful thing is these are my true friends that I look at, that I walk around with, that supports my efforts. Also, that I'm not the only one putting effort into this, and I know these are good people,
Yeah.
good, reliable people who maintain integrity themselves about reporting and telling the truth and not
Yeah.
sensationalizing it. And I don't stand in judgment of what I watch of theirs or listen to theirs or hear theirs. It is just being there, just it is. I think
Yeah.
that's not
It's
exactly how
it's
I plan to
it's
deliver that, but
No, I understand. I think I understand what you're saying, though. It's
yeah,
really important to keep our eye on the goal and
yeah.
just stay on that path of the reason we're here. I mean, hey, I'm not here because I don't have better things to do, or I
Oh
wouldn't
man.
prefer to be, watching the
Yeah.
Broncos game with my little guy, or, walking the dog or whatever. But
Right.
I do feel a responsibility to continue to help people get out and to
Right.
continue to expose. And so long as there's still people inside Scientology trapped by that organization or being abused by that organization, then that's another day that I commit to doing this work. I want to definitely make this point that you and I and others too have been doing this work since we got out, of helping
Yes.
people to get back on their feet. And great, now there's a more formal method to do that. But that's why this work is so important to me
Right.
personally. Like, having helped somebody escape and hop the fence from the gold base, or having heard of the sometimes really tragic and heartbreaking stories. Like, for example, Mark and I, I think it was 2006 or something, someone we had worked with in Gilman Hot Springs had escaped trying to track down his mother and ended up in England from California, only to find out that his mom was actually in Northern California. So we bought
Oh.
him a flight ticket to come
Oh
back to
wow.
reunite with her, got him a car, got him a job, all those things. It's very many of the people that are in that organization are very capable, very smart people that just
Yeah.
need a little bit of help, and to overcome the very real barriers that exist.
Right. That's
Yeah.
right. That's incredible. I never heard that story, Claire. That's like, wow. And again, the dynamic of the problem that we may be faced with on trying to figure out how to help these people. And
Yeah.
it's naturally human of us to not, well, I screwed up. I should have gone north, but I went way, 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 way east. Can you help me get way, 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 way back west to then go north again? Could you please help me?
Yeah.
There's just a natural human embarrassment with that. But we're here to afford people that level of comfort, no matter what it is.
Yeah.
No question could be considered a wrong question, or will be a judgmental question. Judgmental. We don't judge at all.
Nope. Nope.
So we do keep our eyes open for OSA efforts. I will say that,
For
but that's
sure.
just that's just part of the effort.
Yep. Absolutely. I know. And it's yeah, anyway, it's a rewarding volunteer position that we put our time and effort
Yeah.
and attention into, because it's the right thing to do. And what better way to, you know,
Yeah, I have to
recover from
say,
the trauma than to help other people recover too.
yeah, I have to say that here's been my experience, and Claire, I know you know this, but through this effort of development with said agencies and people, um, half of the challenge with arriving at where we've arrived at today um, was already kind of taken care of because of the truth that has been delivered publicly, and these folks have looked at those from YouTube channels to like the Aftermath, Scientology, the Aftermath TV series with A&E, to the Going Clear film. Um, they came to us. I mean, when we came to them, they were like, "Yeah, I'm well aware and fully understand of what you're trying to tell me." Because part of the challenge was busting through or getting through their, "What are you talking about? Well, what? Help me understand this." And the first barrier was getting them to understand what we're even talking about,
Yeah.
and to set all the craziness that they may have heard aside and actually give them open up their eyes and ears to what, here's what it's all about. And
Yep.
it was kind of hard as us, as quote unquote apostates, people who have left. We were naturally could be taken as, you're just bitter people, you just have nothing but crap to say about that place. Is like, no, that's it's not what we're all in. For them to understand that and actually believe what we have to say is truth.
Yep.
What was well, hello. And it's voting time, so you get a lot of spam calls.
For
um
sure.
yeah. So that was also part of the battle, and I kind of give this as another facet to the effort of how we arrived at where we're at today, because we went into these realizing we can be completely shut down if that's what they believe that we're here for, is just to say we're a bunch of crybabies, because
Right.
we were not. And it could be simply run off the rails and make it appear to us that this effort's just not fruitful, when in fact we stood steady on the fact of just get some education in there,
Yep.
get them educated on it, and that's a good start point. And I mean, that involved bringing stacks. I mean, that one, you remember this, you, me, and another arrived with stacks of documents to hand over to them.
We did.
Part of those documents is the internal church language. For even if by us giving it to them, it didn't serve any purpose to them, because they wouldn't understand what they're going to read. So we
Right.
had to attend to that and make sure, and they all have our numbers. We're all in their speed dials, so they can
Yep.
call us and go, "What does this mean?"
Yep.
And
And not only that, but we were enlightened about current situations that just further documented that the same experiences we had are very definitely still occurring to this
still
day,
alive and
which
kicking. That's right.
further motivates us that we know we're on the right path and we just have to keep going. And so and also hats off to the many, probably more than 100 people by now, who have given testimony to various different agencies over the last 10-14 years.
Yeah.
Every single piece of information helps and counts, and is every effort, every day we find new and better ways to
Mhm.
keep funneling that information to eventually get to where we need to get to.
And in a funny, sweet little aspect to all this, not to highlight look at me at all. But when these people representing these entities that we look to get help, who can really do something, when they tell you, such as myself, that they are in awe of us for having the balls, for lack of better terms, to be so specific, be so hold so much integrity, and the strength it took to arrive at where we're at today.
Yeah.
um you know it's an interesting life experience. I can't understate that enough, in that I am just in complete shock all the time when they say that. Thanks, but I'm not here for that. But they highlight the fact that that's important for you to understand, that um their interest in taking the truth and figuring out what it is they can do about it is gets gains trust based off of the fact of they see the legitimacy of our efforts.
Yeah, 100%. And which reminds me, by the way, I think it's bears mentioning, because with every agency we've met with, we have offered and opened that door to say, hey, whatever we can do to help educate you on the practices, how Scientology does things, how they get away with things, what to expect when dealing with any situation involving them, we're here to help with that. So
Right.
if there is anyone who has contacts with specific agencies that might have interest in us doing that and coming and educating them on what to watch for, what the signs are, I'm throwing it out there. We are all for that.
Right. Here's a comedic thing I wanted to say. You ever watch much Seinfeld, Claire?
No, I can't say
Okay.
I honestly, I can't say I've even watched one episode. I'm sure I've watched snippets, on the internet, but that was my media blackout years, as you know well.
Yeah. Well, the backbone storyline of Seinfeld, it's a story about nothing. And it's just some goofballs living life. Anyways, in one of the episodes, Jerry Seinfeld has this, one of the women he's drawn interest in. She put him on his speed dial, and it's back in the old days where you had your speed dial where you can enter people's phone numbers under 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
Yep.
And then there was fire, police, and poison control for quick speed dials on there. Anyways, it was a comedic thing where Jerry was working himself up on the speed dial. Like you can see mom, sister, dad, uncle, and they're number 8 and he's now number 3. And he's like, God, I just got 2 more to get to number 1, Um, I just kind of comedically relate that because we're being told that the church is now at number 9 and we are number 2 or 1 on their speed
Right.
dial.
Yep.
And it's a comedic way to relate how exciting just that simple idea is.
Right.
And because the church has worked so hard to keep themselves at number 1 and bought their way into being number 1, and that was their sense of security. Well, you know what, Scientology, OSA, that has been removed in so many facets. It's incredible.
Yep.
And
100%.
I say to you, it sucks to be you, because that's the beauty of the efforts of how simple the success is, and it's going to live long and strong.
Yeah.
Of reliability and trust and interest.
Yeah, for sure. Even down to that, the Aftermath Foundation having a dedicated 100% line just for these agencies to use.
Oh yeah.
Is an amazing accomplishment, and not because we thought of it, though I wish we would have, but because we were asked to set it up.
And then we were like,
use.
we scrambled to make it happen.
Yes. Yeah.
And
it took
it's a
a
live
lot of
person.
research.
Yeah.
Yes.
Many people
100%.
involved.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, it's been quite the journey, hasn't it?
And it still continues.
Yeah.
Even you even know, as of just this last week, I got a call while this individual was already on something else. He had a moment to call and chit chat and
Yep.
to stay update or exchange live information. So the fact that happens is just so warming. Anyways.
Yeah. No, I know. It's meaningful and significant. And of course, yes, sharing stories is important. Exposing abuses is important.
Yeah.
But it's also important to take strategic action that's going to change the course of what happened when we were there and what's happened since we've gotten out and since we've started our lives over. And I think it's important enough that it gives me hope for the people still left there.
Oh yeah. I mean, I came across a number of photographs of recent from something, and you and I seeing these photographs is like looking at our yearbook.
Yes.
And there's 2 things, for at least for me, that happened seeing those was like, oh my God, do I miss that person? Oh my God, do I miss this person? But more importantly was hopefully being able to facilitate the loved ones attached to those people that are in that picture, that we can afford them. This is the last known picture.
Yep.
And for that discovery and the ability to be able to afford these family members, that is just yet another step forward of keeping the reality alive for their family members, and not just being forced to cast aside the idea that they'll never speak to them again. Yeah, it really looks more like that chance is more viable than not, but we persist to afford them this, to believe that that's going to drop down a notch. Now there's more belief that we're actually going to see them and a chance to reconnect with them. So,
right.
And I know it just hurts the church. It gets in their craw. It twists. It puts their knickers in a knot that this is even happening out here. But is what I say.
Yeah. Yeah, and I very much look forward to collaborating with you on those photos because also a lot of the missing missing people that haven't been seen or heard from publicly in a long time are documented there, which just furthers the whole premise of where's Shelley? Well, where's Bob Ferris? Where's Mark Yeager? Where's
Yeah.
Guillaume? Where are
Oh
all
my
these
God.
people? How can humans just be vanished off the earth in today's age?
Yeah. I mean, I'd like to know. I don't know if you ever knew him, Claire, but Gary Press is an example. GP.
Yes,
You
I knew
know,
him.
I would just, it would completely entertain me that that's his family has come here and been coming here for years in hopes to hear about him.
Yeah.
He
Well,
was never a highlighted staff member, but he was somebody that I worked with and I considered family. It was my only family at the time. Go ahead. You were going to say something?
no, I was just
Oh,
gonna say, I'm sure that you've had this too. Mark and I get it on a very regular basis of people writing saying,
yeah.
do you know anything about this person?
Right.
Their family's still on the outside, still holding out hope that someday they will be united. And that's a beautiful thing. Scientology cannot take hope away, and don't let them do that.
Yeah. There's a lot of crazy in today's world, but that one stands tall amongst your average human beings on how a religion, well, can't really call it a religion, but something that a business that operates under the
Masquerades.
cloak
Yeah,
of
but
religion,
a
yes,
business masquerading as a
as a
religion.
religion
Yeah,
can hold real lives feet to the fire and not allow them to associate with the loved ones in their life.
right,
From their brothers, mothers, sisters, the whole family tree is just beyond. But the simple thing that keeps that at play is the separation from state and religion.
right,
And you know, the fact that Scientology gets away with being identified as a religion when the only governmental agency that's identified or stated them was the IRS, and that
right,
would be like a seamstress certifying a firefighter,
right.
and people buying
Exactly.
into it.
Yeah, I know.
And why were you allowing a seamstress? No harm on the seamstress, but somehow we've allowed that concept into the dialogue, and
Right, and
they're
and
getting
what
away with it.
about right, completely, and you raise a really good point because what about then documenting how Scientology used that tax exempt, status that they were granted by the IRS in 1993 to then parade themselves out to countries all over the world to say, "See, you need to grant us religion status as well." And
Right,
unfortunately, in some cases that worked for Scientology as a strategy. There's many other countries that didn't work, which is amazing, like Germany. Thanks
right.
to Ursula Caberta and her
Yeah,
persistence and just digging in and exposing them for what they do. But the IRS in my opinion, the IRS should be held accountable for the damage that caused in other countries
yeah.
as well.
The misrepresentation that they've given society, that they were, that they were associated with identifying Scientology as a valid religion. And the other thing that, again, to our listeners, the under the radars, the people that are here to better understand what's at play, Scientology does not, to this day, I mean, for the last 20 years, they've had the time to actually file the required paperwork, if there is any. I don't know what the actual requirements are to be identified as a legitimate religion, but they still haven't done that to this day, to the point where they can publicly state, no, 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 we do have the paperwork here. Just like I can show you, I've got my legal paperwork in order to be identified as a 501c organization.
Right.
I can show you that here's the signed, legalized representation honored by a judge, and by all powers that be, that we are a legitimate, by definition, religion. When in fact they can't do that. They would
Nope.
lose all their activities. They would lose their line of business. They would lose the ability to solicit money out of people's funds. They would lose being able to identify their staff members as volunteer workers, and force them to pay them an earning wage, because it's a business. It's not a religion. It is a business.
Yep.
And just proof of the fact that they haven't made a strong effort to get recognized legally as a legally recognized religion It's
Yep.
just proof in the pudding. They won't
Yep.
do it. It's like them suing you or me, because by doing so, they would be forced to present, well, yeah, we were lying all in the first place.
Right. They can't weather that liability
No,
exposure. Yeah. You
even
know,
their legal. Go ahead.
no, I was just going to say, do you know that in the OSA spy files, there was a lawsuit that they drafted that they were going to file against Mark and I back in 2006.
Oh, yeah.
They were
Wow.
going to sue us.
Right. And that was when a time when they still had their own feet firmly up their own butts,
Right.
tripping across themselves.
And
Yeah.
they didn't. And so then obviously we filed our lawsuit. So
Yeah.
which, again, hey, we lost that lawsuit, but the language that was included in the final ruling, of course, included that had we pursued other causes of action such as false imprisonment, assault and battery, et cetera, we may have fared differently. And we paid the legal fees. We were then did a fundraiser that reimbursed those.
Right.
And as a result of that, we're not gagged and we're able to speak
Mhm.
publicly about Scientology to this day.
It was, in fact, a gift that keeps on giving.
Right.
Just like the Danny Masterson case.
Right.
That fully saw the judicial system at play, got the results that were needed to be arrived at. And right now, as you and I sit, I can say, because Danny was a good friend of mine. I don't no longer say that he is, but I was wondering if I still had what I had, but I was going to show you the DJ Donkey Punch little security pass. I held on to that. Something told me to hold on to it, but it's just really the gift that keeps on giving. The justice system tripped across Scientology, and it was part of the decision making because of the crazy Scientology contributed to it that Danny took advantage of, for
Right.
shorter, better description, to forward his own ends and to get away with the crimes that he was interested in committing. It's the gift that keeps on giving. It's another one in the hat of our efforts out in the outside of Scientology world.
Yeah.
That proof you stick with the truth, you're going to get results. Well,
Yeah.
thanks for Chrissy Bickler and everybody involved. Yeah. Anyways, that would just be another real life example.
Yeah.
They don't happen
100%.
often enough, though, do they? That's
No,
silly.
but they're happening more and more.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
we
yeah.
just need to focus on that. And,
Yeah.
for every one example that we can talk about, there's 10 others we can't talk about just
Yeah.
yet. But,
Yeah.
the day will come, and it's just so important to keep doing the work. And anyone who wants to help, then please do.
Yeah. No, please reach out. We'll figure out how it is, because
Yeah.
there was no manual handed to us on how to
No,
go about doing this. There's
no, not
no
one bit.
library to go sit down and with a cup of coffee and kick back and read up on it and figure it out how to do it.
Yeah,
None of that.
exactly. No, for sure. Anyway, but yeah, so we both figured that it would be a good update. And again, obviously, we're intentionally speaking very generically just because that's what we need to do to continue this effort. Because at least from the Aftermath Foundation perspective, we've been subject to many FOIA requests when Scientology knows our efforts. And thankfully, every one of those has failed to stop us so far. And that's our intent, to continue on this path and keep gaining momentum and keep helping people get out and keep doing the work.
Yeah. It's not like you and I, Claire, aren't aware of the fact that what we talk about could result in an FOIA request.
Yeah.
And, I say bring it on, because if that's so interested, I hate to say it because it's unnecessary work, but the church will try to take advantage, but they don't know what to ask, where to ask.
Right.
And that's what's so entertaining about this, is it?
Yeah, and at least speaking for myself, now I have, I've in January will be my 20th year anniversary of escaping. So
Wow.
I've learned so much since speaking out against Scientology, that knowledge base and experience helps me on a daily basis. It's not that it's ever been easy. It's just that we are going to keep going.
Shit, Claire, I'm going on 27 years.
Yeah, there you go.
That's strange.
That's funny. I love how you whipped out your calculator there.
You saw that?
I did. I did.
I just wanted to make sure my mind was still sharp. And yeah,
Yeah.
27. It's still,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. So how many years did you have in versus out?
Oh, well, it's not that my mind was still attached and in when I came out publicly,
Yep.
but my public disconnection, disassociation occurred in 2000 with the Tampa Bay Times.
Right.
Joe Childs, and um,
Tom Tobin.
Tom Tobin, yeah. Of which I had always made it very clear to them. Our friendship went from, dude, if you screw this up, I will forever hate you. If you don't honor my requests, I will forever, I didn't use the word hate, I will forever disrespect you. And they held strong in their integrity, and I thank them, and they've been lifelong friends ever since. I
Same.
still got them on my phone, and I can call them anytime and just say, "Yeah, how you doing?" You know.
Yep.
So 2009, when those stories came out, was my official. See ya, folks. Don't want to be ya,
Yep.
and never was wanting to be ya. And here's a bunch of truth, people.
Yep.
And I consider myself a contributor to the efforts of many that way before us, even Vaughn Young and the Jerry Armstrongs and all the people. I mean, just historically, there's been a lot of attempted efforts, and with the change of times, people who who could use an example? Well, like Reese or Catherine, they've left within a year. Imagine
Yep.
enough if we've been able to be involved as they are now in this community
Yep.
within a year of our leaving, how much more effective it would have been
Yep.
by showing how effective their contributions to this effort within a year or two of them leaving is just
Mhm.
phenomenal. So, um, the people we're affording to leave can file their proverbial knowledge reports if they so choose. No pressure, but it's
Right.
there and available because believe me, it brings a lot of relief to one's soul. And
Yep.
I've found that you're able to sort out a lot for yourself mentally and spiritually and physically when that moment really happens for yourself. So back to answer your question, officially out publicly. Uh, what was that? Summer of 2009, 15 years
Okay.
ago.
Yep.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah, no, I recently did an interview with Sarah Edmondson, who is of course, author of the book Scarred. She was in Nexium,
Fabulous
and
lady.
yeah, absolutely amazing. The parallels, by the way, between Scientology and Nexium are startling. Let me
Yes.
tell you. But she had a quote in her book about true power is to use your voice,
Right.
and that really struck me. Of course, it goes without saying, but for me, I was silenced from age 3 to age 30 by Scientology. So taking back my voice for me personally was the right choice to make.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And just because this is a topic that's come up, um, I get people that challenge me all the time is how is it Scientology can't be taken down like Nexium was? Um, Two very cult environments, very
Yep.
similar. Um, I'm really happy that we didn't get branded like those folks did,
Yep.
um, and have their little seance rooms and whatever. But the difference between Nexium and Scientology is what's his name?
Keith
Yeah,
Raniere.
Keith Raniere. I always think of Mount Rainier, so I in my mind still going Raniere. So yeah, Keith made the stupid mistake of not getting legitimacy acknowledged for his cult being
Right.
identified as a religion,
That's right.
and then that opened that just people can act. The responsible agencies can officially act, and if that was
Yep.
the case with Scientology, if we can just nullify that understanding that they're truly not a religion,
Yep.
but actually a business masquerading as a religion, then that
Yep.
kicks the door open for actions to be taken.
That's right.
And that truly is what David Miscavige works hard at defending from happening. Believe me,
Absolutely.
through all the
Very,
cases.
very intentionally. He knows.
Oh yeah,
He
no,
knows.
he's well aware of it, and he the support system of his cases of McClelland Scotch whiskey that he imports from Ireland
Mhm.
to the high-paying attorneys give him the security to sleep at night. I mean, imagine what it's like to live day to day like him. The
Yeah.
stress,
Yeah.
like self-born tragedy.
Yeah, what about what
Incredible.
he's done and what he's done to his wife and the amount of people he's physically abused and, the amount of billions of dollars he has socked away,
Yep.
and carefully manipulated himself into an extreme position of power. There is a way, and we will persist.
Yo, totally. Because he
Yeah,
ranks right up there with the same level of evil in a cult environment as it is with what was that dude with the cartel with Medellin, the notorious drug leader.
oh, yeah, the name's escaping me at the
Escaping
moment.
me. But Dave, in terms of holy smokes, when you hear and see a story about a person that like that, how they could be so bad, and then they
Yeah,
have these little gentle uh, storytelling on, they're happy to what is it, baptize one of their grandchildren. They have their those, but they turn right around and go back to their crazy evil. That's
yep,
Dave Miscavige. Yeah,
100%.
and yeah. So, anyways,
Yeah.
I diverted, but
No, that's all right. That's all right. Well, thank you as always. And hopefully, we'll get a chance soon to collaborate on those pictures. I think that would be absolutely amazing
yeah,
to kind of shine a light into that crazy world we were a part of for too long. But hey, we got out. So here we are today.
yeah. I think people should know that minimally, I myself, and I'm not separating Claire from this. I believe she believes the same thing, but I'm not into uh, bringing people out, exposing people in these pictures. I think they call
Yep.
it doxing nowadays. Is that
Yep.
what it is?
Yep.
Uh, I'm not, these pictures are not going to afford me. It's like, wow, look at, I got pictures and look at
No.
that, look how crazy. Those are human beings.
Yep.
And I'm not into that. But if people want to reach out to me or with Claire, um, and ask, is blah blah, is any of my family members in these pictures, I'll do the best I can to look at every face,
Yep.
because I knew a majority, 90% of those people in those pictures. So
Yeah.
if you're looking for a
Hey,
picture,
yeah,
I'll
my
send it to
my
you.
my cousin is in a lot of those pictures.
I heard. See, and I didn't
Mhm.
know that. I didn't know your families. I didn't know some people that's their uncle. I'm like, what? How did
Right.
I never know that?
Right. Well, because in the world that we lived in, there were no families. There are so many people that have children that I never knew they had children.
Oh my gosh.
Even Gail Armstrong and the recent, whole Emily
Yeah.
Armstrong Lincoln Park saga. I knew and worked with Gail Armstrong. I never knew she had a daughter.
Funny thing is, you mentioned that, Claire. She's in these pictures.
Yep, I saw that. I saw.
So yeah, I'm saying I'm not doxing. Well, she's in the public limelight right now, and yeah,
But
she's in these pictures.
yeah, and I would say that that's different. Like
Yeah,
she's done hate videos. She put herself on the internet before
yeah. Oh yeah,
you
she's
or I
doc.
ever would.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's not a fu to Gail, but it shows the hypocrisy, and
It does.
there she is thinking that she's living the same life that everybody else is in those pictures of the event that they were partaking in at the time, and it just shows the hypocrisy and the debacle all in one view.
Yep. Completely.
And the fact that she was there, and I myself didn't know much of her, but I knew of her, but still I knew her wicked world, and especially what Mark went over some sort of I don't know what it was titled, a recent thing of something that he discovered in the
In the
OSA
spy
files.
files.
Yeah.
Yep.
Um, and he was reading that, and I tell you, when you read such stories, it just takes you right back. Yep, there's ass kissing, there's a self survival, that whole um, that was done, the evaluation that was done of about a situation that was wrong, where someone steps aside and evaluates it
Yes.
and looks into it to see what was wrong with it all. I'm just
Yep.
looking at somebody walking by, and they're continuing to walk. And then the mindset that was portrayed through that written document,
Yep.
that everybody else was wrong except for Dave Miscavige.
Right.
Just, I still know what that's like. So glad I'm not
Yeah.
part of that bullshit anymore,
Oh my
Claire.
gosh.
Oh
I know.
my God.
We're grateful for every single day of
Every
freedom,
day.
right?
Oh my God. Yeah. Oh
Yeah.
my God.
Yeah.
I did this. You just self denigrate yourself.
The mea culpa of Scientology is something awful. I know, I was thinking
Well,
about that recently, the shame and guilt, that they instilled, and speaking for myself, having been born into it, it's like, imagine if you were stabbed and then they intentionally kept the wound open for, years and years. That's the level of, it's not just normal levels of shame and guilt. It's
right. Oh,
exponentially
it's like
worse.
redefined. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, it's so hard to define in a simple statement, but I think people are understanding what we're saying.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, so unfortunate. Anyways,
Anyway, yes, but either way, thank you as always for everything that you
mhm,
do, Jackson. We appreciate you, and we will continue our efforts
yeah,
and continue coming back here to talk about what we can talk about, and encourage anyone who's under the radar or considering getting out to do so right now. Don't wait. Don't don't take another breath. Just do it.
mhm.
Things are so much better out here.
And I too thank you, Claire. So don't. I'm not going to sit here and take all this praise from Claire comfortably at
No,
all.
I just truly appreciate your efforts,
Yeah,
and
well,
to
you
anyone
too.
else making similar efforts, thank you. Please keep doing the work.
Yes, yeah. Let's
Yeah.
keep up the strong work.
Yeah, keep on keeping on until there's no
Mhm.
need to do this anymore, and then we can happily retire.
Heck
Won't
yeah.
that be the day?
Oh
Yeah.
my, yes.
Awesome. Well, thank you again. Until next time.
Bye bye, people.
Bye.
Thanks for watching. If you'd like to help support the channel, feel free to check out the merch store link in the description. We have Hail Xenu, Xenu is my homeboy, and BFG branded mouse pads, shirts, mugs, all sorts of other stuff in there that helps us to bring you new content on a regular basis. You can also pick up a copy of my book, Blown for Good, Behind the Iron Curtain of Scientology, in hardback, Kindle, and Audible versions as well. There's also a link to our podcast, and you can get that on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts. And if you'd like to watch another video, you can click on this link right here, or you can click on this one here, or you can click on the subscribe button right here. Thanks a lot. Until next time.